Well, hello and welcome to Angora Poets World Cafe, broadcasting from Paris to around the planet with various poets of various styles and various languages and various voices. And that's why we're called the World Cafe, so that we can include all of us and potentially one day you too. And I'm Mo Singer, and I happen to be one of the poets of this group. And I welcome you, all those who are listening by way of our YouTube recording. And right now, we're going to kick off with 9 poets to start. And I can guarantee by the nature, the quality of these Angora poets who are invited only, that it'll be worth your while. So let's begin tonight. I want to take us from Paris to Los Angeles, California. And I want to introduce our Japanese American poet who has switched somewhat from traditional tanka, which predated haiku. She wrote tanka, to now just now raving as an independent woman with attitudes and opinions and a style of poetry you haven't heard before, and you're nailing it, Jeannie. You're nailing it. So let me invite on to begin Jeannie Nakano.
Okay, so I'm going to nail it another way. I decided to do a book of my father's poetry. So I will read you some of his work, okay? He was 20 when he wrote this story. I'm just going to read you one page of it, but I wrote it, here it goes, and it all takes place in France. In the Bruyères Mountains. Do you know where that is?
No.
Okay, it's near northern France and also in Nice. And then I will read 2 short poems of his, but this is only one page of the story because we were talking about this last week. An interlude. My unit, the 442 Regimental Combat Team, which was, do you all know about the 442?
Just read it, Jeannie. We're good. Come on.
Okay. My unit, the 442 Regimental Combat Team, was so badly battered and disseminated in the forest near Bruyères in southern France that we could no longer be used as an attack force. A company of infantry is over 200 men. The average of our companies was blown away to about 35 men. In 2 companies, there were only 12 to 13 survivors. We had been a regimental task force that had been sent to help extricate a battalion of the 36th Division that had been cut off and trapped by the Germans. That was the Texas regiment. They were methodically being annihilated. Our regiment did manage to extricate the lost battalion, as it was later named, but it was at a devastating cost to our regiment. We met with stubborn German resistance, and we were literally mowed down by machine guns, rifle fire, machine pistols, and grenades. The mauling we took from heavy artillery and mortar barrages was like being in a killing machine. Because we were in a dense forest, one shell bursting in the branches over our heads could at times wipe out a dozen men. There was no place to hide. The chaparral would blast down on us from above like a swarm of screeching bees, each one capable of tearing your life away. The shrapnel and the bullets did tear many lives away. Those of who survived were blessed by being sent to the Champagne campaign for about 3 months. We waited in the Champagne campaign for replacements to build us up to attack strength again. The Champagne campaign was being sent to occupy a part of the Maginot Line. The Maginot Line was an elongated underground city with gun turrets above the ground at strategic defensive positions. It had been dwelling quarters sufficient for an army, its own lighting system, places to show movies, kitchens, warehouses for ammunition and other supplies, medical facilities, and a small railroad station We rode to our mules in little trains, and we ate in regular dining areas. It was literally an underground city, several stories down in some places. So it goes on and on. It's very interesting. And he meets a French woman. It's 8 pages. So I'll leave it there. That's just the beginning.
What an opener. Was your father in a Japanese American unit?
That's the only way they could go in. Asians were all separated, segregated.
Okay, right. Wow. Okay, well, thank you for conveying that memory from your father. And, you know, belated hearts go out to him and all the men that went there.
It was Veterans Day Thursday. That's why.
Understood. Understood. Okay. And now you have some poems to follow, do you?
Yeah, that he wrote. And so I'm going to try to, the book is very long, and I'm going to really try to get it together this year. His poems, his short stories, everything. So this one is called Existence, written by Tom Nakano in 1960. Lush maidens swathed in dreary monk's cloth, and lovers loving conquest, while Venus sighs with empty arms. I asked my God for joy, and blind buds to dumbing death return. 10 million suns blazed in black night, and beggars starved at banquet tables, while Tantalus died of thirst. I asked my God for meaning, and a child died. I'm sorry. Make
Take
me
a
that.
moment. Go ahead, take a
And
moment.
the child died in my arms. White doves engulfed in sudden Adam's fire, and men destroyed for love of peace. While killers waved the olive branch, I asked my God for love, and gray dust swirled in shattered streets. So that's one.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
I'm getting it together.
Wow, that's ooh.
That was an amazing poem there, Jeannie. It was very powerful and brava.
And so this is the last one I'll read because it's the third written part. It's called Paradise Lost. A machine of blinking lights and blindly calculating tapes and tubes guided the roaring factory. Einstein ordered the universe, and unknowing baboons sang his praise. He has given us the law of forever. The earth whirled silently around the sun, galaxy around galaxy, spiraling us to some unknown rendezvous. Yapping monkeys in tuxedos and furs, oogling before a canvas splashed with paint. What lessons have we learned? What eternal message does he give us? What paints did he use? I know, don't you? What colors, what lines, what brushstrokes, such realness, such beauty and creativity. Somewhere a nova burst in the sky and a new planet was born. Outside a flower quietly blooms. 1,000 warriors stood in rigid pose. The crowd bowed its head in reverent silence. Trumpets bleated stilted sorrow, and a fat general stood solemnly jiggling his belly, wishing just one tear would fall. The hero's coffin was solemnly lowered. In a quiet spot in her father's garden, a little girl buried her beloved kitten, and Jesus wept in anguish. Wailing men, gasping, defeated, and weary from chasing forever vanishing gods, brain sucked dry by the rotting sponge of knowing, joy gone dead in the search for a rule, for a rule, for a rule, a word, for a word, for a word, and a God, for a God, for a God. You're muted, Mo.
Yes, I know,
Okay.
but I surely did appreciate those three works and including the poems. Now that last poem, you was it by your father or someone else?
No, they're all by my father. This whole
Okay,
collection of
because it says you started out by saying the title of the poem and then you gave another name.
oh, because he mentions Einstein. Is that what you mean? But
No, but I like the poem very much. And are you trying to publish your father's work? Is that what you?
yeah, I've tried over and over again, but I get in just a lot of trouble. So I gave up. But when I read it at the last reading, so many of the men could identify they were veterans and they were encouraging me to get all his work done. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I just had really a lot of trouble. One publisher kept trying to put the make on me, and then the other publisher thought the poems were too sexy because he writes a lot about sex, and so it ended. But I will try.
Jeannie,
Yeah.
Damien, if you can wait until February when the third issue of Stone comes out, send me a couple of these. All right, because I really like them. All right.
Okay, let's see. Where are you? Let me.
Oh, I'm the bird here, but